First topic. Everybody, once again, thank you for following and watching. Like, follow, and share, please. It costs you nothing. I'm literally just trying to get more of a wider range of views from people. So the more you like, the more you follow, and the more you share, the bigger the pool of people gets. If you want to say that, let's stop using anecdotes, people. Let's actually make a town hall where we can actually know what's really going on globally, and stop trying to sit in our little silos. But anyway, thank you. Moving on to the first topic: character over credentials. All right, now this is not the character. This is the problem with MAGA, and this is not the character you think of where you're like, oh, the content of someone's character. No, there's really no way for us to see the content of a person's character outside of their actions, which is a big thing, but it still doesn't say everything. They could be hiding something that we don't know about. There's skeletons in everybody's closet. But when I say character over credentials for you people, is you fall in love with characters. Like George Bush Sr. was like the no nonsense character. The Reagan was the movie star. George Bush Jr. was the young cowboy, the frat boy, the frat cowboy. And then you have many of them in the lower ranks, like the Boberts and the MTGs and the Pete Hegseths. You have many characters. Even Kavanaugh and the Supreme Court Justice. This is why people like SNL and Mad TV and other comedians. This is why they have a field day with your guys. Lindsey Graham is not trying to be a character at all, and he's a character. But you choose that over credentials. Not saying that there's no qualified Republicans. That's insane. There's a bunch of qualified Republicans. And what I've noticed about those qualified Republicans, such as your Rand Pauls, who's not really Republicans, he's a libertarian. Same thing with Massey, but that's because they're logical. But they dumb it down to side with the Republicans because libertarians. And it's funny because, people like Kyle Kalinske and the TYT, they always look to, when the Tea Party started up and the Libertarians became a thing, that was a change in the party, and they took power in the party. Yeah, that's because Libertarians knew they had to just dumb it down. They don't really like Republicans. They just know that Republicans really are just trying to screw the poor by saying we don't want no handouts. They still want to get handouts. They still get handouts to a high degree. But the libertarians just jump on that, knowing that everybody will most likely be able to get it, even though libertarians are for the most part white. They're not concerned about the minorities. That's their whole philosophy, is I'm not concerned about anybody else except me and mine. And things will work out fine. But so people like Massey and Rand Paul, they dumb it down so the Republicans will just jump on their bills because they on the face, a libertarian can write a bill that seems so basic, but it's going to screw certain people because it gets rid of the safety nets that our government has created so people don't fall too far below the poverty line. But you guys get duped all the time. Like, yes, the left gets duped as well, but the amount of what I've seen in my lifetime of shady characters on the right has been insane. And the fact that all the slimy stuff that Reagan did and his people that he brought into office with him, and the love that you still have for him and some of those people it just proves my point. Like you get fooled to the very end by these characters rather than looking at the credentials, the learning and education they've acquired, the knowledge they've acquired, the exhibition of that knowledge and education in the real world, and also what they say they do. Where's the evidence that they do that? Donald Trump talks about abortion, abortion that all the time. What has he done to stop abortion or make it safer or do anything to help the topic at all in his history of life. And don't say give money. I'm tired of people saying give money. Because money is given, if you're at that point in your life when you're that rich, money is given by your assistant or your board, the people who look around and see what the best things to do are and make the best steps for you, for your public image and for your economic portfolio. So money is not it. What has he done? What has any Republican done to stop gun violence? You see what I mean? And I'm not saying take away guns. See, Republicans have you programmed that when I say stop gun violence, you think, oh, you're not taking my guns. The only person who would think that is someone who's thinking about doing violence with their guns. Sometimes when you're talking to somebody and they make a really wild accusation like that, you have to stop and say, why'd you go there? And don't back off when they say, I'm just saying, no. Why did you go there? You didn't give me a bunch of different options. You just went to the psycho option immediately. Because a lot of people are thinking in that psycho world. That's why we have so many shootings in America, because there's a fine line between thinking it and doing it. And when someone crosses that line, they don't tell you. They don't tell you that. It just happens. And if you happen to be one of the people around them, then you're going down, whether you have a gun or not. This is not the Matrix. You cannot shoot bullets out of the air. You are not Neo or Trinity. So that's why we need better gun control, because it could happen at any moment, and you don't want to be the victim to that. Where that leaves us is here. I would say do better background checks and vetting of your nominees. But that's just not gonna happen. We know that's just not gonna happen. The way to fix this is to stop being a single topic voter, single issue voter. Stop. If the one reason why you're voting is because you like the cut of someone's jib, stop. Stop. Your homework is not done. And if you don't want to dig any deeper, by all means. I'm not one of those people that says, oh, we all have to vote. Don't vote. It's not an adversarial thing, but don't vote unless you know. Right? That just makes a little bit of sense. Or if you see two people going up against each other and one saying, oh, yeah, I'm going to do this, and one person saying they're going to do something else, unless that person is saying they are going to kill babies and throw people out of the country who for minor offenses, things like that, unless they say crazy stuff like that, go with the person with the experience. Or once again, don't vote at all. But we have to stop letting dumb people vote for other dumb, crooked people. I'm serious. Or like, if you vote for somebody that goes to jail afterwards, it turns out to be crooked, you got to lose your vote for like a term or something like that. But look at some of the people you've elected. Like really, your favorite is Reagan, and Reagan screwed up. This man wanted to watch Star Wars and wanted to make a Death Star and spend billions on it, while telling people they didn't need to feed their children and they needed to get a job. They were lazy. Like, if we stop spending so much money on dumb shit. You want to talk about topics that people don't care about. Who here cares about going to Mars? But we spend billions on that. I would happily take those billions and give them back to everybody. I don't care if we get anywhere near Mars. I don't care anything about Mars unless it starts getting closer to us or some shit. We spend millions. Who cares about going to the moon? Not me. Over time, we have spent trillions on that. Everything we pay Elon Musk to do, I would stop it today. It is not necessary. And if it is, I'll get homegrown. See, that's the stuff we should be keeping at home. I'll get homegrown scientists to focus on that and figure it out. Things like cancer. and AIDS, how to make unfertile lands fertile again, things like that. Or how to conduct our own soil base that we could perhaps grow bananas here. Maybe they can get something, simulate the tropical environment. I don't know. That's just me thinking right now at the top of my head of a few things. But why is NASA even a thing outside of making sure meteors don't hit us? All of our satellites should be based on that, not weaponry or surveillance communications, yes. These are the things you guys need to be wanting from your politicians. And not the cowboy, the straight shooter, the maverick, the straight teller, the unladylike lady, all of that crap. The general Raising Cane. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. This is not a cartoon. You are so trying to emulate the stories that you read that were fake. Newsflash. All those Washington stories and Abraham Lincoln stories, everything you heard about them is whitewashed over and over and over and over. They were probably shitty people. And I'm not even saying like blaming them for, that's taking into effect the time they were from. But if we lived at that time and we knew those people being the same things we know now, they would be shitty people. Stop believing these superhero stories. You will never be that idea of Washington that you have in your head because it's not a real person. When someone says they want to be like Washington and me, I hear you want to be a slave owner and you want to deny rights to black people. All I hear. And that's all anyone should hear. If you don't hear that, then you are not listening, looking at the whole story and the whole picture. Why do we only take the good from white people but take all the bad from black people? Why is that? Why does Trump have to be forgiven for felonies, but you don't want to forgive Puffy for getting found guilty of the Mann Act? Which is what? Anyone tell me? People say, oh, well, Martin Luther King cheated on his wife. That one thing brings down the man getting killed for all the rights of minorities, not just black people, but all minorities who act like they owe black people nothing for all of the degradation that we got, standing up for your rights that you now take advantage of. It's not right. It's not right. But that's not character to you. Your character is George Bush. You all were behind. The same way you're acting behind Trump now, you were that same way behind George Bush. And every Democrat told you, he's an idiot. He's a puppet. You did the same thing again. And I'm supposed to feel bad? And welcome you back with wide open arms? Why? Because you're not going to listen again. I guarantee you're not going to listen again. The definition of insanity, they use it all the time on the right, is doing the same thing. Why am I going to keep telling you over and over again? You yourself are going to get screwed as well, not just us. These motherfuckers just had the balls to tell you, yo, we're only going to screw brown people. We're just going to do that. And you believed it and we're fine with that. Listen to people who know better than you. If I could teach you anything, listen to people who know better than you. Or look for real character. Look for content of character where there is a huge base for you to prove. You don't have to know that person or interview anybody who knew that person, but the information should be there, especially in the day and age we're in right now with the internet. The information is there for you to get educated about what people have done, the true content of their character and their credentials. So do that. And I will give everybody the fact that in the Trump era, people have been doing that a lot more, but they still take things on face value. Perfect example is the reason why most people say that they voted for Tallarico over Jasmine Crockett is because of electability. That is racist, people. That is only used against women and minorities. I've never, ever seen them say that about a white man unless he was gay, which makes him a minority. And the characters you choose, You guys talk all the manly this, macho this, the ladiness, feminist that, and this, and the feminist you chose was Nancy Mace and Marjorie Taylor Greene. Two women who are mad all the time, not particularly good-looking women either, but they're really just lesbians that are mad because they're not doing what they're not following their true selves. The men, so when you think of a tough guy, you think of Donald Trump. Look at him throughout his lifetime, and we have tons and tons of video of him throughout his lifetime. When did he ever look like a cool or B, a tough guy? He was always a rich, pompous dork. Look at the stuff he was on Howard Stern all the time. Howard Stern is not a cool guy, except to dorks and incels who can't get a stitch of. So they like guys who do, who they assume do, and show it off to them and ignore it and treat it like it's not important, like Andrew Tate. Like, look at the people you guys follow. They're all fake. They're not real men. Jake Paul is not a real man. You watch that dude grow up on Vine videos. He's not a real person. He's playing a role. He's playing the role of a troll. And you think that's a real man. Look at who you looked up to, Aiden Ross, Lacey's, like the people who your children look up to who backed Trump. Stop voting for characters and vote for character. Okay? Do your homework. And then pass that knowledge down to your posterity, if you would.
Didn't you hear him tell you ain't no slave?
So you really free?
Yes, I was free.